Good afternoon. I'm pleased to advise that we've still not had any loss of life and we don't have any missing persons as a result of this weather event. I want to provide an operational update this afternoon on our response efforts so far as we mobilise our crews across the southeast. Currently, we only have one emergency alert in place, and that is for a conserved water alert at Killarney, and that's as a result of a water supply issue that was spoken. All other emergency alerts that have been issued have now been cancelled and will continue to message the community as needed. All emergency services have been responding to calls for service and assistance today, primarily in the Gold Coast, Redlands, Logan and Brisbane area. And we've seen police respond to 167 calls for service today alone, Queensland Fire Department 270 calls for service. We've seen Marine Rescue Queensland respond to 6 jobs today, and that was mainly welfare checks for our liveaboard boaties to make sure they're okay, and we've assisted a number of them to come to land after riding out the night last night. Emergency services continue to deploy considerable staff right across these areas, including the police, who have deployed 249 staff today. As indicated by the Premier, the ADF are on the ground with us now with 30 vehicles and over 100 personnel, and their taskings are being coordinated through the State Disaster Coordination Centre in consultation with our local government and our district groups. I've further been advised that the Queensland Fire Department and the Rural Fire Service have commenced damage assessments in some of the impacted areas today. My focus area now is around the critical infrastructure to ensure that our communications and power are all back up and running should we have to issue further emergency messaging so that the public get that vital information. We are currently assessing our communities that have those limited communications, and I can assure you that if needed, our emergency services will undertake door knocking in those areas should we have emergency messages to be delivered. We have tasked additional police to the Mount Tamborine area and other emergency services. We have our ADF, our SES, our Royal Fire Service and our ambulance and Energex crews to clear access to the roads and to provide that community the information they need, given that they had restricted access into that community, they had no power and limited communications. Several roads in the Logan and Scenic Rim area have now been reported as flooded, and we're starting to see our river and our creek systems react to the rainfall that we've had over the last 24 hours. A large number of traffic lights remain out as a result of the power outages, so please be careful if you're driving. The event we move into is now flooding. There's a lot of rain forecast this evening and the coming days, as we've heard from the Bureau, and as I've already said, we have not had any loss of life from this weather event, and we are really keen to keep it that way, and we ask the community to please be responsible, don't drive through floodwaters, and if it's flooded, forget it. Thank you.
Good afternoon. As indicated by the Premier, since this event outfolded late Thursday afternoon, so about in the last 48 hours, we've reconnected, that's Ergon and Energex staff, in excess of 60,000 mums and dads and business customers. They're continuing to reconnect this afternoon, and crews will work through this evening. There's still some challenges on the Gold Coast with wind strength, but staff will assess that on a case-by-case basis. There's been in excess of 1,000 live lines on the ground that we've had to deal with, so please be careful. Don't assume that they're turned off. Secondly, I'd also like to reiterate what I said, I think it was yesterday, around generators. They're dangerous if you activate them inside. There's been an event on the Gold Coast where people were lucky that it couldn't end in tragedy, so don't operate them inside, please. The other thing I'd say is we'll continue to roll out work tomorrow as weather permits. Stay safe.
Thanks, Peter. Thank you, Peter. Over to you, guys.
Premier, what's the latest information you have on dams and those feelings?
I can get that info from SEQ Water. I know that they have addressed you in the last 24 hours, but I can certainly ask the Minister to provide that. It is important that if water is released, that be communicated. That is an absolutely fit and proper process.
Do you put the responsibility in the hands of individuals and businesses to decide if and when they reopen?
Of course, but our job is to give them the information and the services to give them every chance to reopen. And I love small and family business. This country's been built on the back of it, and I want to do all I can to help them thrive. And in an event like this, no one pays their bills when they're closed. They need us to help get them up on their feet. So if a small business owner believes that they can open tomorrow, of course they should be able to. And if someone believes that they should go and be able to drive there and support them, even better.
What support will be provided to those small businesses that have had to close
Yeah,
multiple days?
great question. The support packages for small and family business is done in partnership with the federal government. We've already begun work and negotiations with that. Once we see the extent of any damage and losses and all those things, we work with them, as we have in North and Far North Queensland, and work continues in that space. It's important, if Mother Nature deals a tough hand, we have to be there to support individuals. We have to be there to support people who are impacted at home. We have to be there to support small family business and farmers. We have to be there in people's hours of need. That's why government's there. In the first instance, our priority has to be to re-establish all of the things that make life normal again. Can we get power working? Can we get water running? Can we get roads flowing? All the things that we normally take for granted. That's got to be our first priority. But then we have to turn our attention to helping individuals and making sure that as we repair things, we do it in a stronger way. And I think the blueprint for that has just unfolded in North Queensland.
There's a real crisis in the Northern Rivers at the moment. Is there a scenario where we get Queensland up on its feet quickly and we can share resources with our friends there?
You bet. I've spoken with Premier Minns every day, and whilst there's a border that separates our responsibility, it doesn't separate our compassion for a fellow human. And if those communities cop it again and we can assist them, we'll be there. And I know that they'll be there for us. And but by the way, I remember only a month ago, as I was thanking SES workers who were in Townsville getting ready to head north, one of the first group I met were from New South Wales, and they were there helping our people in our hour of need, and we'll always do the same to them as well.
On traffic lights, drivers are returning to the roads. What's your advice to them if they come across an outage?
Yeah, drive to the conditions, go about your life, but use common sense. And if you use common sense,